Hey guys, what's going on? It's Matt, Trans943. Back in April of 2015, I did a review on the Lionel, Missouri, Kansas, Texas E8AA diesels, and you can see those diesels on the inside track. But when I reviewed the engines, the passenger cars that were slated to arrive for the engines were not there for the review video. But just recently here, the cars have showed up, and we have them, and in today's video we're going to take a look at them. So let's get the E8s out of the way and we'll take a look at the passenger cars. Alright, here's a better look at the passenger cars. On the inside track we have the 2-car set, and then on the outside track here we have the 4-car set. So what we'll do is we'll grab the 4-car set and I'll briefly talk about all the features that these cars share, and then we'll take a look at the individual cars in each set, and then a little later we'll hook them back behind the E8s and run them. Okay, so all of these cars are a scale 21 inches long with the exception of the baggage car. The baggage car is 18 inches, and the reason for this is the baggage cars in a train were a scale 70 feet long, and the rest of the cars on a passenger train were a scale 85 feet long, and that scales down to 18 and 21 inches. So that's just the reason behind that. All these cars feature LED lighting, which is really nice, and not only do they feature LED lighting, they also feature capacitors inside, so the car lights stay on and there's none of that flickering or anything like that, so that's really awesome. The cars all feature the self-adjusting couplers, which is really cool. I'll talk more about this later on in the video, but that's a really cool feature. And also there's a really cool feature in here for you guys that like to convert your cars to scale couplers, so I'll talk about that later on when we turn one of these cars over. But first we'll grab these cars. I'll grab the baggage car first, we'll take a look at some of the details of it, and then we'll move on to the other cars. Alright, here's a look at the baggage car that comes with the set. Let's go ahead and zoom in and take a closer look at some of the detail on it. Alright, here's a look at the end of the car. Down on the bottom here we have the coupler piece right here. Moving up some more, we have the diaphragm area, and this diaphragm looks really cool. Let me see if I can get a little bit of a better view of it for you guys here. There we go, that's better. You can see some of the interior detail. We have some pipe work over here, and it looks really good. We have the door right here, and that door does open up, as you guys can see, and then we have this really nice skirting around the vestibule, which looks really nice. Moving down the side, we have the Katie nameplate right here. We have the car's road number 1000. Have a grab iron piece right here. Then we have the truck side frames, and these look really nice. And then finally over here we have a door. That door does open up just like that, and you can see the interior. Now inside all there is a smooth red floor. It looks good, but I think Lionel could have done a touch of a better job, but it looks okay because realistically you don't really look inside these cars anyway. And then finally down here we have a metal ladder piece, which looks really good, and these doors just kind of shut like that. Pretty cool. In the middle we have the Texas Special name right here, and then we have the name of the baggage car. Now the names on all these cars are derived from famous people or famous places throughout the US, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to spend too much time on this end of the car because it's basically the same thing as the end you already saw, but as you guys can see it looks really nice. So now we'll move on to a different car in the set. Alright, next up in the set we have a coach car, so let's take a look at this one. The end of the car here isn't too much different from the other car that we just saw, the baggage car. You can see we have the coupler, and then we have the very nicely done vestibule section of the car. Along the side here we have a door with some grab iron pieces here. Now the door doesn't open, but it sure looks really nice. Down here we have the car's road number 1501. Then we have the Katie nameplate up here, and then we have the very nicely done truck side frames. Next we'll start taking a look at some of the interior details of the car here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the car down the track here so you guys can see the interior detail. Now these cars do not include passenger figures out of the box, but you can always add passenger figures. Lionel has a set of people that are coming out later in the year, I believe, and you can add them if you want. But the detail on the car here is really good, as you guys can see. So we'll move on to a different car now. The third car in the 4-car set is a Vistadome car. This car is really cool, so let's take a little look at it. The sides of this car are not too much different from the other cars that we've already seen, and as you guys can see, it looks really nice. Next we'll look at some of the interior detail on the car here. So again, I'll just kind of roll the car down the track. As you guys can see, looks really good. Now the dome part of the car does not actually light up. It only kind of gets lit by the light that shines through from the bottom part, but it still looks good nonetheless. Continue rolling the car down the line here. As you guys can see, it looks really good. So now I'll grab the observation car from the set and we'll look at that quickly. Alright, here's a look at the observation car. So let's take a look at some of the detail on the car here. Alright, this end is no different from the ends we've seen on all the other cars. Nothing really too fancy here, but let's take a look at the exciting end of this car. That's better. We can see the rounded end of the car, and as you guys can see, it looks really good. Now down on here we have a scale fixed coupler. It looks really good. I know it isn't the best, but here's a look at the drum head on the back of the car. As you guys can see, it reads the Texas Special and it has the little star on the side. Pretty cool. Some of the other lighting on the back of the car, we have a marker light back here which looks pretty cool. Then we have these marker lights on the side which look really nice as well. Alright, the last thing we'll do on this observation car is we'll take a look at some of the interior detail. Then we'll grab one of the cars and turn it over and look at the underside. So just like with all the other ones, I'm just going to kind of roll this car down the line here. As you guys can see, just like all the other cars, the interior detail is really good. Lionel did a fantastic job with this. So that's really cool. So now we'll grab one of the cars and take a look at the underside of it. Okay, so I have one of these cars turned over now so we can get a better look at the underframe. As you guys can see, the underframe detail in the middle looks really good. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. That's better. You can see it looks really good. Lionel did a great job under here. But what we're here to talk about is we're here to talk about the self-adjusting coupler and the truck. So let's take a little bit of a better look at that. Okay, so right here we have the truck and the self-adjusting coupler. Now this is where things get interesting. Okay, so right here we have the coupler assembly right here. Then we have the truck back here. Now the coupler is not attached to the truck, and as you guys can see when I move the truck, the coupler is stationary. And what Lionel has done here is they've used their self-adjusting coupler system on these cars for the simple reason that you can get very close coupling with these cars. So when they're on straights, the cars are very closely coupled together, but when you go around a curve and you need a little bit extra room, the coupler pulls out just like this. It goes the same way in the other direction, and then when it's back on a straight, it comes back to center. Now it looks really cool, but it looks even better when you connect the cars together. So let me grab a couple cars and we'll take a look at it the correct way. Okay, so when the cars are on a straightaway like they are now, you can see the coupling between the cars. As you guys can see, it's a very small gap, and that's really nice. But again, with the self-adjusting couplers, when we round a curve, move the camera so you guys can see, you can see that the space gets a little bit bigger between the cars, and that way they can negotiate the curve. And then when we come back on the straightaway again, you can see we're back to the way we started. Pretty cool. Now the self-adjusting coupler system is really nice for us guys that like to have the stock couplers that come with the car out of the box. But if you like to convert your cars to scale couplers, Lionel made it really easy to do it. So let's talk about that briefly here. Alright, so Lionel made it really easy to do this. All you have to do is remove 4 screws to disconnect the self-adjusting mechanism out of the car, and then you can add the mounting pads and these screws. These come with the car, which is really nice. So you guys that like to do it, you can do it really easy. And then in the instructions for the car, they show you how to do it. So let's talk about that real quick here. Right here in the instructions, it shows you how to go ahead and change the couplers out with the scale ones if you want to do that. You can look at this on your own time, but as you guys can see, it is in here. So that's pretty cool for you guys that like to do that. As for us, we keep the couplers that come with the car because they are just awesome. So now with all the details of the 4-pack taken out of the way, let's go ahead and quickly look at the 2-pack, then we'll run these cars. Okay, so here's a look at the cars from the 2-pack. Let's take a brief look at them real quick here. The cars are basically the same general idea as the rest of the cars. These cars are just awesome, like the whole rest of the train. So I'll show you the combine car, and then I'll show you the lighting effects on these cars with the coach car. Again, the detail on these cars is pretty much the same as the rest of the train, although on the combine car here, the door opens up, and again we still have that red floor, but it still looks really nice. So now we'll kill the lights and look at the interior detail, then we'll take a look at the LED lighting on these cars. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so just like before, we'll roll the car down the line here. There's nothing to see up front here, so I started here. As you guys can see, the detail, just like the rest of the cars, is fantastic. Okay, so to better view the lights in the cars, I went ahead and shut all the room lights off. So what I'll do is I'll shut the power off, and you can see the capacitors in action here. And again, as you guys can see with the capacitors, the car lights are still on, and they'll shut off momentarily here. Now the lights on the video, the car lights shut off a little quicker than they do in real life, but it's still amazing. So what we'll do quick is we'll run these cars real quick behind the E8s, and then we'll give you guys my final opinions on these cars. Okay, so to summarize these cars, in a nutshell, these cars have to be by far the best sets of passenger cars Lionel has ever made. These cars are just phenomenal, from the lights to the couplers to the details on the car. These cars are just a home run for Lionel, and I really like it that they've moved from the aluminum bodies to the plastic bodies, because I tell you, those aluminum cars, while they're gorgeous, they are very problematic and just very temperamental in my opinion. I have a set of the 18-inch California Zephyr cars. I can't stand them, but that's my personal opinion, and that's not for this video. But in any case, these cars here are just phenomenal. That's really all I can say about them. and these cars are just great. They really, really are. Definitely try to pick up a set if you can. So these cars, the retail price on the 4-pack, I believe, is around $550 or so. The 2-car add-on pack has a retail of $300, and the Station Sounds Diner car, which we now have, has a retail price of $300. The diner car I will do a separate video on, but that's basically what we're going to cover here for the 6-car set, and then again we'll do the diner car at a later time. But that'll wrap it up for this video, guys. I'm Matt, Trend Level 943. Guys, have a great one.